There are things human beings know before anybody teaches them. And I think one of the clearest memories of that in my entire life happened when I was 3 years old, hiding a stolen piece of gum in my pocket while my mom stood at the counter talking to the cashier. Nobody saw me do it. And trust me, if my mom had caught me, there would have been consequences. But she didn't catch me. Nobody did. And that wasn't what was bothering me. I felt guilty. Deeply guilty. So guilty that I couldn't even bring myself to chew the gum. I carried that little piece of gum around in my pocket like it weighed 100 pounds. I did not understand theology. I did not know scripture. I had never heard the word conscience before. I was 3 years old. And somehow, I already knew I had broken one of the 10 commandments. Not because somebody caught me, because something inside me already knew the difference between right and wrong. Eventually, I walked up to my mom and handed her the gum. Nobody made me confess it. Nobody was ever going to find out. But I could not carry it anymore. Years later, I started realizing that moment was never really about a piece of gum. It was about conscience, about the strange reality that human beings seem to carry an awareness of right and wrong long before anybody explains it to us. And honestly, the older I get, the more extraordinary that feels to me. Because we are living in a world that is constantly trying to tell people who they are, what to believe, what matters, what truth even is. And somewhere underneath all that noise, I think people are losing touch with something deeper. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. That verse has been around for thousands of years, and it still cuts through everything. Because the world is loud now, louder than it has ever been. Everybody is performing. Everybody is distracted. Everybody is trying to keep up. And the strange thing is, science keeps running into this question too. Why do human beings across cultures, languages, and generations all seem to carry this inner moral awareness? Why do we feel guilt? Why do we feel conviction? Why do we instinctively cry out for justice when something evil happens? The Bible answered that question thousands of years ago. Romans 2:15 says, "They demonstrate that God's law is written in their hearts, for their own conscience and thoughts either accuse them or tell them they are doing right." Not just in churches, not just in religious people, written deeper than that. Deep down, most people already know. We know love matters. We know cruelty is wrong. We know betrayal hurts. We know honesty matters. And no matter how advanced we become, human beings still cannot escape the reality of conscience. Ecclesiastes 3:11 says, "God has planted eternity in the human heart." Something inside us keeps reaching for truth. Jesus said the greatest commandments were to love God and love people. Not perform perfectly, not pretend. Love. Because faith was never supposed to just live in buildings or rituals. It was supposed to transform the human heart. That's why this matters. Because the story of that little piece of gum was never really about gum. It was about the heart. Maybe that's why we called this the inked heart. Because some truths are written deeper than culture, deeper than politics, deeper than algorithms, deeper than noise, written onto the human heart itself. And no matter how loud the world becomes, the truth is still there, waiting to be heard. And that's why we're here. Not to scream at people, not to pretend we have every answer,
but to have honest conversations about the things most people are already wrestling with deep down: faith, truth, fear, purpose, identity, grace. The things the world keeps trying to drown out. If you've been carrying those questions too, you're not alone.
If this resonated with you, subscribe to The Inked Heart and maybe leave a comment below. Tell us, when was the first time you remember your conscience speaking to you? We read the comments, all of them. And maybe some of the most meaningful conversations happen there. Not because we're trying to build an audience, but because people are starving for something real. And maybe so are you.